Hey guys, it's Tracy from the Academy, and I'm here with our second episode based on geography on Academy Bites. So what we're going to be focusing on today, guys, is the Leaving Cert mock exams. So these are your preparation for your Leaving Cert, the kind of first run, the trial run for your Leaving Cert exam. Now that's going to be our main focus today, and we want to look at the mocks and where we are now, where we're going to be at the mocks, and where we want to be then in June 2022. So to start off, guys, what should you guys be ideally studying or focusing on at the minute in preparation for your mocks in probably around February time? So at the moment, what we should have done. So it's really important in sixth year at this moment to have your essays ready for whatever sections of the course you have decided to do. So at this moment in time, you should have said to yourself, I'm doing physical geography. My plan is to actually do 2 questions from physical geography and 1 question from regional in my Leaving Cert exam. Now, you might say, I want to do 1 physical, 1 regional, and 1 geoecology potentially. That's absolutely perfect, but you need to have that plan in place for what you want to do in June 2022, because that's going to dictate what you do in your mock exams. And I do want to stress that a lot of students will go into their mock exams and be like, okay, I'm studying these 4 sections. So I'm doing my elective, my geoecology, I'm doing physical and regional for my mock exams, and then I'll make a decision after that. That's not smart studying. What you need to do is decide on 3 sections or 2 potentially, and stick with those sections for your mock and for your Leaving Cert exam. Because there is no point to doing every section, because you will not be marked on 4 sections, only a maximum of 3. So guys, that is piece of advice number 1. Now within each section, you should have your list of topics. The list of topics that your teacher would have given you, or maybe I've potentially given you in our day school here or our grinds. That should be with you for each section. So with your physical, have your rocks, rivers, isostasy, etc., etc. And what you should have done for each of them sections by now is decided on your focuses for your mocks. So what I would be saying to students now leading up to their mocks, and still loads of time until your mocks, is you need to pick out or pull out the most important parts of the sections they're answering. So let's take physical geography, because more than likely most students are studying that. So with physical geography, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, the most important sections for you as students would be rocks and rivers. Now, why do I say that? Rocks and rivers rocks and or rivers I should say, appear every single year on the Leaving Cert exam paper. If you look at the Leaving Cert exam paper, what you're going to find is, take rivers. A feature of erosion or deposition has pretty much appeared every single year in some way, shape or form. Human interaction with rivers or human interaction with the rock cycle, one or the other, has appeared pretty much every single year. And most years you're asked, for example, for the formation of a rock type or the formation of a distinct landscape associated with a rock type. So what I'd be saying to students now is, take, for example, rocks and rivers, 2 key topics. Rivers every single year have come up on the Leaving Cert. Rocks have come up every single year with the exception of 2017. And focus on them. Get the essays perfect, or potentially, if you have your essays done, get them learnt. Get your mind maps, get your tables, your keyword list, get them learnt off by heart. So when you're going in and you get that 15 minutes to write that essay, pen to paper, off you go. Now that needs to be done in every single section. So pick 2 to 3 topics in your sections. So as I said, for example, rocks and rivers would be my key 2 in physical. For example, regional, up to yourself realistically, but you might say, okay, India, your continental, subcontinental, I do India with my students, your continental, subcontinental, India, Brazil, whichever you choose to do, there was a huge focus on the 2021 paper on that, so probably not as going to be as prevalent on the 2022 paper. So you might say, okay, I'm going to get my European region. Absolutely perfect for my mocks. And then maybe geoecology, you might say, okay, I'm going to get my characteristics of a biome and human interference with a biome perfect. Now, what you're trying to do for your mocks is get the most important topics. And by important, I mean most reliable. The ones that you can walk into that exam paper, and if you just do them topics, you know you're going to get questions. And they're them sort of topics that I've just discussed there. So decide on them topics, get the essays wrote, and then get learning the essays. And when you're learning the essays, remember, it doesn't need to be word perfect. I know when I did my Leaving Cert, when I started off learning geography, I remember, I'll never forget it. I had the essay and I just kept writing the first line out. I wrote it for pages upon pages upon pages. I'd say about 6 A4 pages. And then I went with the first and second line. And I'd say I spent probably about 12 hours in total trying to learn one essay. That wasn't smart. If I had only capped myself on and said to myself, okay, if I pick, 12 keywords here in this essay, learn them 12 keywords and learn the information around them. I didn't need it word perfect, I just needed the information to be perfect, okay? And that's what I would be saying there. Now, you might also say short questions. Short questions, people have this kind of idea in their head, short questions, oh, I'm going to get my short questions perfect. People generally don't. You need to focus on them short questions on maybe potentially between now and your February mocks or whenever they may be, actually doing one set of exam papers. So by that, short questions or your part A's every single week, okay? And when you're doing them, you need to time yourself. Don't open your book, just try them and then go back and get the solutions. All the solutions are available online. So that's really, really important to point out. Now, once you get over the mocks, get your result back. And again, you're focusing on particular topics, not the entire paper. That's when you can say to yourself, okay, do I know the most important topics? Have I done well on them questions? Now, if that's the case that I have, I can focus on everything else. If it's not the case, you need to go back on them topics and then go on to your other topics, for example, with physical isostasy and earthquakes and volcanoes and all them other topics. But you need to get the core kind of by core main topics, the most asked topics done for first, because they're going to, I suppose, save you massively when you go into your exam. Other things about mocks that we need to be, I suppose, very aware of. Just because you don't get a H1 in your mock does not mean you're not going to get a H1 in your Leaving Cert. And that's what I'm trying to say here. Get certain parts of the paper perfected and then work towards the rest for June, okay? So get a certain amount done, know what you've done, not a bit of everything, certain topics. You also need to focus on your timing. The timing in your mock exam is very, very important because that's going to, I suppose, going forward, that's going to tell you how much time you'll have left over in your Leaving Cert potentially, and if you run out of time. Someone always makes a mistake with timing. It might not be in the geography exam, it might be in your maths exam, or it might be in your biology exam. Someone always makes a mistake with timing. And the geography paper is very much, it's time, you're under a time pressure constantly. So you need to know exactly the order, the structure you're going to complete the exam and the timing given to each section. Now guys, I hope that's beneficial going into your mocks. You do have loads of time and that's the biggest thing to remember here. So get that plan in place, a plan that suits you. I'm after outlining some of the main topics that you should study going towards your mock and perfect them for your mock, and then allow yourself to study the rest for your Leaving Cert exam. Thanks very much for listening guys, and I'll see you soon.